Today, as part of my suspension videos, as part of my suspension work, I'd like to show you guys one aspect, the stabilizer system, or the stabilizer assembly. So right now I'm just turning the steering knuckle out of the way, then do my best to show this. You guys have heard me complaining about dark videos. It's always a problem. So here, this is in case you've been told that you need to address your stabilizer bar, stabilizer link, stabilizer bushing. This is the system we're talking about here. So again, this is your wheel well. Remove your wheel, obviously. Then come down here. Find a way to turn this. I've got videos on that. This bar right here, this is your stabilizer bar. This little bar that connects the stabilizer bar to this aluminum piece, this is your lower control arm. This is what people call the stabilizer link. And they might be called different names, but I think although Nissan has different names for them, generally stabilizer bar, stabilizer link is what we're talking about. And the bar itself, it's not a very common part that needs servicing unless you've really neglected it and then it's gotten worn down. But the stabilizer link, that is something that you might need to periodically address. You don't just do it time-based. Usually you actually check, make sure everything is nice and tight, and if it's loose, address it. But then the other thing, and this is the one thing that usually kills the bar, do you see this part right here? That's rubber. That's called the stabilizer bar bushing or stabilizer bushing. Just whenever people talk about bushings, this is the part they're talking about. So this, over time, it does end up being that it's rubber, gets squeezed, and this inner diameter right here, which is the OD of the bar, ends up being larger. And then over time, if you don't address that, yes, it is rubber, but it is going to rub and cause, through abrasion, it's going to cause the stabilizer bar to wear down right in that area. So over time, you'll need to address it. So in today's video, I'll be showing you, I'll do my best to show you how to remove them. But right now, let's kind of talk about the setup so you can just see what is usually involved. Oh, yeah, there you go. That actually works out. So this right here is your stabilizer link, and I already have a replacement. This is the replacement. Here's the part number. I will post the part numbers in the video description because the right side and the left side are different, but this is what it looks like. And on the other side, on this side, you have a nut that holds it onto the stabilizer bar, and then on the other side of the control arm, right here, you have a nut that holds it as well. I believe these are both 17 millimeter nuts, but we'll check that. So this is it. Okay, great. Then, so that's a basic setup here, and then here, what you have is the bushing, and here's the part number. You do have a left side and a right side and the left side. They share the same part number, but once again, I'll put it in the video description. You find a way to open it with one hand. Okay, so here, this is what your bushing looks like. And likewise, you do have an inner and an outer. Funny thing is that both of them are going to look like this. So does it really matter? Nah, not really, honestly. Not on this one. But what I usually try to do is try to make it similar to the other one. Do you see the number 30 here? There is a number. It's 30 right here. So, and I'll talk about this later. The part numbers, I will show all the part numbers, but for sport models, and I believe all-wheel drive models, this front stabilizer bar is much thicker than the base model. So for that reason, you need to make sure that whenever you buy the bushing, you buy the correct one, right? The others have skinnier bars, and therefore this is the outer dimensions are gonna be the same, but the hole inside here is gonna be a little smaller. So just make sure you get the right part. And then what happens is during installation, and I will try to show this while I'm doing the video, while I'm doing the job, but this is what you do. It basically goes over like that. That's the gist of it. but then it's held by this bracket over here. This is called your stabilizer bar, your stabilizer bushing bracket. This one here, and then you've got two 14 these are 14 millimeter nuts here and here. So having talked about it, I think it's time to do the job. And to be able to get to the stabilizer bushing bracket bolts, or rather nuts, I need to gain access to this area right here. I've got my under tray, my engine under tray. Some people don't have them. Some people have the metal ones. And right now I can even touch it because mine's half worn. I've been wanting to design my own for a while now, but car doesn't get driven that often. Either way, you need to remove this. I have a feeling that I can just remove these bolts in the rear, and then maybe this one here, and just flip it over. But we'll see. Do whatever you gotta do. Don't hurt yourself. And while I'm here, something I need to mention is that it would help you a great deal. It's actually almost required that for you to be able to do any work on the stabilizer links or the bushing, you know, in case you're gonna remove one side, you need to have the entire front end of the car off the ground. If you try to just jack one side and remove the stabilizer link, it might be really tough because this dimension right here is going to change. Remember, the stabilizer bar does equalize both sides, and once you remove something, and you'd rather not. If you can help it, please don't do it that way, right? It's not as dramatic in a car like this because of the suspension design, but still, I've seen it happen to people and they're like, well, why do my stabilizers, why doesn't it want to fit? What's going on, you know? So it just helps to have everything up all together. Although, hypothetically, actually I've done this by practice, you can remove the bushings without really dealing with these, and likewise you can remove the stabilizer links without touching the bushing, but for today I'll be doing both of those. I'm going to start with the stabilizer link, this one right here, and as I said, it's a 17 millimeter on this side, 17 millimeter nut over here as well. I'm doing my best. I know the visibility is a little funky. I'm not going to struggle with hand tools. Kind of want to keep this moving, so got my Milwaukee tool over here and just go. And here it is. And now I just got to angle the camera properly to catch this other one as well up here. Again, use whatever tools you have at your disposal. Okay, and during removal, if you've got paint pens, you could use them, but for me, what I'm going to do is this: take this out and just make a mental note this way. As much as they look similar, and does this have a paint mark? Yes, this does have a paint mark, which is has a washer too, so make sure I won't lose that. And obviously the washer came from the other side, otherwise it would have fallen. So that's why I make videos, for my own memory sometimes. So this longer side over here goes to the top, and it makes sense. There's quite a thick portion over here, and then the shorter side goes here. And if you made the mistake, you'd catch yourself pretty quick like that, because there's barely any threads poking out over here. So as I said, just something to make a point of. I don't usually throw my parts away yet until I'm done installing the new ones, and I can use the old ones for comparison. And then this one here, as I said, it goes over here. Right now it hasn't given me a problem, but it's something I need to mention, that depending on what tools you're using, you know, if you're doing this by hand, sometimes things might get a little tough. So let me install this, just kind of push it over just so I can show you what goes on. Sometimes, depending on where you live, what your road conditions are, rust and things like that, when you go to remove this thing, sometimes what happens is it just ends up turning the whole joint around, and right now it hasn't given me that problem, but I just wanted to give you guys this tip that if that happens, get a 19 millimeter. Is this 19? Yes, 19 millimeter open end wrench, and just set it right here, and that's gonna hold this other washer. Let's zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. Hope it's clear. Okay, so in case you were working on this and it started spinning around on you and it's not holding, what you can do is just come here, come with a 19 millimeter open end wrench. Because this place is so narrow, you can't really get like an adjustable wrench, and then just hold it steady, and then you can turn now you can focus on removing that nut on the other side. As I said, pretty easy on my part, thanks to the tool. But I just wanted to share that tidbit because I do understand that sometimes your tool collection, just depending on how long you've been doing this, your tool collection might not allow you all the quick ways that people show on, on YouTube or whatever it is, make it look so easy. Okay, so let's zoom back out and do this. Okay, and as I said, it's pretty odd in this case because normally the way Nissan sets the stuff up is that whenever you install it, the paint mark is usually on the outside. I can usually see it on the outside. In this case, the paint mark is behind and visible on the inside. It's interesting, something to just pay attention to. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it gets you. I also mentioned that you could remove the stabilizer link without disturbing the bushing at all, and this is one of those examples. So I can do this. And believe it or not, this stabilizer bar has a right side up. You can install it backwards. You could install it upside down or left side right. See what happens. See that? Yeah, so when it's facing backwards, this side is usually, there's a little bit of a dip over here, so that it doesn't, especially with the V8s, with the M45, if you don't do it correctly, this is just going to end up just banging on things as you run around. Imagine having this backwards. So right now what I'm going to do is go ahead and let me zoom in there so I can show you the other part, which is removing there's a 14 millimeter nuts over here for the stabilizer bar bushing. Nice, make sure you don't strip anything. And then the other side. Okay. Guess I'll let that hang loose. Let me zoom back out. I'll go to the other side to get the other side loose as well, but this is what I wanted to show you. This is what it looks like installed. Zoom back out a little bit. So this is the metal part, the bracket that I was talking about, and the nut goes over this hole over here and onto this stud, and here's the other stud. Let me remove it. Yeah, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit before reinstallation, just to make it easy. You can see a little, and in this case, the slit is in the back, is on the back side, so that's something I just keep in mind whenever I install the new one. So what I'm gonna do is just come here with a nice cloth and wipe this down. I can feel the deposit. It's not eating into it too badly, but this is what I was trying to explain, that if you had your rubber so old and worn that it can't eat into the metal, and then that's what causes looseness, permanent looseness, basically, until you, I don't know, get it grounded or something, or get a thicker sleeve. But yeah, just something to pay attention to. Okay. All right, so I think this is it. Next time I have the camera out, I'll just be recording the installation part of it. just pay attention when you get a brand new one, at least from Infiniti. They don't come with the securing nuts, so you're going to have to reuse the ones that you have from the old one. I can't remember if the instructions tell you to buy brand new or not, but I know these work just well. And then you'll notice that you do have a washer here. The washer, when you install it, it goes onto the front side of the control arm. Goes against this stationary one right here. Then this other side you have a nut to secure it. So just pay attention. We'll share the part numbers. For now, what I'm going to do, I'll do my best to record this, is the old bushing. I'm going to get this bushing right here, install it onto the stabilizer bar, and then use this bracket, hook it up there, make sure it's nice and secure, and then I'll go ahead and install that one and tighten it down. The first thing I like to do is come here, make sure this place is nice and clean. So I'm going to come here with some brake clean, just get it done, get these nuts off. I'm going to do the same thing here, clean the bar. I cleaned it some time back, but I'll do it again just to make sure everything is nice and good. So I've done my cleaning and I'm almost ready to install this. At this point, I'd like to mention that there is a right side up and an upside down to this bar right here. You might not be able to tell it when you look at it like this, but perhaps when I have it upside down, you might be able to tell that there's a little bit of a bump over here. So the correct way is to install the bar such that the dip is going down. If not, just make sure that you can read these characters right side up. Why does this matter? Well, the Infiniti M45 oil pan is very, very low. So if you have this upside down, it's going to be hitting your oil pan pretty soon. At this point, it's pretty easy. At this point, what I need to do is install these bushings. And sometimes I would fuss about what direction is which one, but right now, the right and left side are going to look very similar. As you can see here, both of these dots are on one side, right? This is where the split is, and this is where the split is on here, and this is where the dots are. So in my mind, these are just bushings. It doesn't really matter which way they go, really. If you wanted to be fussy, you could install both of them like this, such that the dots were facing outside, but as I said, I don't think it's going to really matter here. So what I'm going to do is install them with the splits going towards the front of the vehicle. Just like that. Pretty easy. And as you can tell, these are nice, new, nice, pliable. And that's it. And then when I come at it with these brackets, this is what I'll be doing. Let me show you when it's all the way upside down. Just putting this over and making sure that the flat surface right here is up against the vehicle, against the subframe of the vehicle. And then just get this in there and bolt them in. So that's what I'll be doing once I get under the vehicle. have a cheat sheet over here which tells me down here it's supposed to be 37 foot-pounds. I'm going by hand because I would hate to cross thread anything around here. That would make for a bad day. There you go, got smoother, easier. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. It's not all the way tight right now, but it's nice and snug. And this is the part I wanted you guys to see. If installed the stabilizer bar upside down right here, see where the oil pan is on this one, that you either would be straight or be really close. So they designed it to have some sort of allowance. Obviously it's not going to swing that far out, but still, okay. And then when you install it here, obviously it's not going to be right against it, but instead of tightening it, what I'm going to do is install the stabilizer links first so that this doesn't become too tight and I can't move it any further. So stabilizer link here and here. Okay, we are ready to go. So this one here, put a washer on it. Goes here. I'll put the nut on the other side. Okay, it's holding well enough. And then on this side, I'll swing this up high enough just so I can get this in there. It's nice and tight, it's brand new. There you go. When you install it in the car, obviously it's going to find its neutral point, but for now it does need a little bit of help, and I'm happy to offer that. Okay, just snug. If you're curious as to whether it works the other way, in that start with the bottom with the bar, the answer is yes. Just gotta hold this in briefly, bend this, don't forget your washer. Remember, this one here needs to, being that it's a ball joint. Oh, there you go, nice and easy. I was going to say this joint also needs to swivel, but I think we're fine. Let me do it from the other side so you can see how it goes. All right. And then get this nut over here. Since it's a ball joint, I don't fuss too much about aligning it. It should be able to turn and settle in its home position. So that being said, I'm gonna go big if it can fit in there. I suppose not. 17 millimeter. And I'm going for 66 pounds, foot-pounds. So the other side doesn't seem like it's moved, which is great. Otherwise, I was ready with my wrench, open-end wrench. This one holds just in case you need to hold this side steady. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this. Get my torque wrench. Let's see if it fits. And it sure does. Let's go for 66 foot-pounds. It's an odd angle this way, so I'm going to have to attack it from this side. There you go. That didn't take much, did it? Let's do the same here. So now you can see this side is turning. What I'm going to do, so this action right here, be putting the open end wrench on the hex. I'm going to do it from the top because it's going to support itself. Torque wrench. There we go. While we're down here, figured it's a good time to tighten the stabilizer bushing over there. 37 foot-pounds is what it requires. Not too tight. As I said, you don't want to cross thread or break anything right here. Almost done. And that's it.